And let's take this. Let's start a new sheet for the second normal form. And let's copy over our data here. Okay. The official requirements for the second normal form are: number 1, the table must be already in the first normal form. And number 2, all non-key attributes must depend on the entire primary key and not just part of it.
And again, I don't understand, especially that second requirement.
That's okay, because we will talk about the purpose of the second normal form and it will become clear. So the purpose of the second normal form is to get rid of data duplications or redundancy, and to ensure that if we need to update one piece of information, then there is only one place where we have to update it, and we don't need to worry that we also need to update something else somewhere else in order to avoid anomalies in the data. These two are basically the same thing. The redundancy is a simple way to see the problem, and the why behind why we do it is that so we don't cause anomalies when we update data.
Can you give examples how we would cause anomalies?
Of course. So let's take this observation that is currently split into 2 rows. And let's imagine that the staff leaving the room, having already recorded this, actually looks back and thinks, hey, that's actually more like 70% and not 50%. And they decide to correct the data. They start correcting it to 70, but then for whatever reason, something happens, some maybe bug. And the update only affects one of the places, but not the other. And then we would have different numbers when there should really be same numbers. And this is a data anomaly, or also a violation of data integrity. And we need to do everything possible to avoid cases like this. Right, so let's look at that requirement once again. All non-key attributes must depend on the entire primary key, not just part of it. This speaks of full dependency versus partial, and here's what it means. So let's say we take this outcome that was recorded, and we know that it is about the whole feeding event. It's not about one ingredient, right? So this data describes this event that occurred at this specific timestamp, which means if we have this timestamp, then we know what reaction it was. Whether it's rice or it's salmon, that does not influence what reaction we have. Which means that this data is connected only to this part of the key. But this part does not change anything. See, we have different ingredients, but we still have the same outcome. So this part of the key does not influence the rest of the data. And same with all other data actually. Here, if we know the timestamp, we know the cat. But if we have a different ingredient, that does not change which cat we have here. And when you see a partial dependency, that means that more than one thing is trying to fit in the same table. And in the database design, we're really trying to designate one table for one thing, or in data speak, for one entity. And when two things try to fit into one table, that's when we get duplication, so redundancy, and anomalies. So one of these things has to be separated into another table. And a partial dependency is a way to see where is that other thing that has to be separated. In our case, everything depended on timestamp and not on ingredients. And that is a sign that ingredients is that second thing that has to go out.
But we cannot just take ingredients out. We need to know which dish has which ingredients.
Exactly. When we separate two entities, we still have to preserve the relationship between them. Ingredients belong to dishes, so let's take both of them and put separately. Then we no longer need ingredients here. but we keep the dish because that is going to preserve that relationship. If we know what dish is, then we can go here and from there find all the ingredients. That's the link. And this link is also called foreign key. So this was the primary key. Then this is the foreign key, which allows to connect the data from here with the data that's elsewhere.
Just like people, they can't live together, but they still share the keys because they still need the relationship.
And one last thing we need to do here is, now we don't need to duplicate this over 2 rows because we don't have the ingredients, which was the whole reason why we duplicated, so we can leave 1 row for 1 observation now. Let's verify once again if this is now in the second normal form. So the criteria was that a non-key attribute should not depend on part of the primary key. Now that our primary key is only 1 column, there's simply no way to violate the second normal form because that's the whole key. You cannot have a part of it. And this table is also in the second normal form because we have no non-key attributes that could violate by depending on part of the key. So all of this is in the second normal form now.
Second normal form was so much quicker than first.
Yes. And I have good news for you. Third normal form is going to be even quicker because it's very similar to the second.